Well, hello guys, welcome back. Somebody asked me a good question. I know we've discussed it plenty of times before, but I guess they didn't look at the Loki 101 thing. If Loki is stopping you from doing something, don't do it. That's like the Cliff Notes version. You can stop watching the video. The more detailed version is I always find Loki stops me from doing something when it's not good for me. When I am going to get physically, spiritually, or emotionally hurt, or I've already done one of the above and I just haven't realized it yet because the pain hasn't kicked in. Loki will stop me and he will say, no, like this cleaning was all well and good when we first started it, and then I took it too far, so I have a tendency to do with stuff because I have an addictive personality. And then my anxiety kicked in, and then it was a cycle of my anxieties kicking in, so I have to clean more, but that's kicking up my anxiety, so it got to be this vicious cycle. The thing is, and every therapist I've ever been to has told me, and I don't hoard. I have a lot of stuff. I'm a maximalist, which means I like a lot of stuff in my space, but I keep it clean. My stuff is my sword and shield against all the icky stuff in the daily world. It really is. And when I started to pitch stuff, it was like I was taking my sword and shield and throwing them out the door. Now, I still ended up with a house full of stuff, but it's a thing of even the stuff I didn't need, it was all packed away somewhere. Technically, I would be living the same exact life I am living now if I had not touched a single item. It would all still be in this house, and it would all have future potential, but it's gone now, and I started to freak out. And Loki knew it was coming. Loki knew it was coming, but he was like, "You're not going to learn this lesson until I let you do it." So he let me do it. And the thing is, I'm happy with a lot of stuff that went. I am, and I'm happy with what our house looks like now. I am, but it's a little too clean for me. There are a lot of parts that, despite what you see behind me, don't feel lived in anymore. They're a little too clean. There's a lot of items, but it feels like I personally checked out because it just doesn't have my touch. There should be piles of books everywhere, forgotten coffee cups, all that stuff should be, clothes just flung about. It should look like I live here. I'm not a slob, but there should be clothes hanging off the back of a chair or something like that. It should look like I live here, and currently it does not. It looks too damn clean. And he said, it's starting to creep me out a little bit because this does not look like your home. It does look like you checked out emotionally. And I said, yeah, because there were people having anxiety attacks on Reddit about what do I do with my clothes? What do I do with my clothes? Because there was nowhere in the original book where she told you what to do with your clothes at the end of the day. And everybody's like, oh my God, do I wash my clothes every day? What do I do? What do I do with my clothes? Because let's admit it, Americans, we don't wash everything every damn day we wear it, right? You wear it for a while and then you wash it. But where do you put the clothes once you've worn them? You can't put them back into the cupboard. You can't put them back into the closet, right? Because they are worn clothes. Where the hell do you put them? So, look, he's like, God, you Americans are really wound tight. We are really tightly wound people. Coffee doesn't help. And, you know, people were freaking out about it, and I looked up counterpoints to her, and there were various counterpoints. There was one woman who didn't like her because, quite honestly, that woman got hooked on the fact that it came from Shinto, which she's pretty open about. Came from Shinto, and therefore, as a Christian blogger, she didn't like it. I'm like, well, why did you read a book based in Shinto anyways? Then you had to know this was coming. And even though she was respectful up to a point of, this is this woman's religion, she still had to point out that it was the wrong religion. And I'm like, oh, sweet baby Jesus. So, there were people like that. And there were people, a lot of people, myself included, were like, the hell are you talking about getting only 30 books? The hell wrong with you? I got 30 books in this room on one shelf. And it's like, there are books behind me, there are books there. There is a library in the living room, there is a library in both bedrooms, there is a library in the basement. There is a fuck ton of books in this house. If the library, God forbid, the library in town ever burned down, and they would give me a financial grant, I'd be like, you know what? I got a lot of books, you know, books, CDs, DVDs. Just come to my house, give me a financial grant. I will be happy to take care of your literary needs. That'd be ideal for me. Get a librarian to come in here. Yeah, I'd be living the life. So yeah, she did get a lot of flack for a lot of reasons, and then she kept trying to change her mind on it. But Loki will stop us when we're going overboard. He had me find out that, she went from her original book and her original story of you didn't have to spend anything to do this to you can buy boxes from her and crystals because that's just what you need, more shit to put in your home when you're throwing everything out. And I'm like, that's going to trigger more anxiety for people because where the hell do you put all this stuff? And apparently I missed the crazy part. People were, comparing like all these shots and everything, and one woman said she found out it set off her anxiety, and I'm like, oh, thank God I'm not the only one. It set off her anxiety. She had a full-blown attack because she's down looking in her fridge and going like this, and she doesn't have all these little white baskets and all this other stuff. I'm looking in one of the drawers in my mother's room, which is not my room, but it used to be my parents' room, having anxiety attack because even though I don't use this drawer, I haven't used this drawer in over a decade. Oh my God, what do I do with this stuff in this drawer? I was fine and thought I was done, but then my anxiety kicked in, and I was like, but this isn't Marie Kondo method, because she tells you in one book about, one part of the book about getting rid of all this stuff from your childhood. She especially hates your childhood items. She hates your childhood items with passion. She hates books. She hates photographs. She seems to hate toothbrushes for some reason. There's a lot of things she hates. Let's admit it. We all know that if Marie Kondo would, she would live in a home decorated like a funeral home. Have you ever been to a modern funeral home? I know that's a weird question, but if you haven't, look one up online. At least in the American style, it is a damn creepy, surreal feeling. It's this beautiful color of wallpaper, lamps everywhere, brighter than the surface of a sun. Beautiful furniture, tastefully, artfully arranged flowers, boxes of tissues. Obviously, it's a funeral home, but nothing else. Nothing else. You can see under all the furniture. It doesn't look lived in. It looks like it's almost ready for the dead people to get out of the coffins, and you're kind of nervous about sitting down. And a lot of people were saying that to other people, like, is this, who the hell is this for? Is this for visitors? Like, do they get out of the coffin and sit down? I'm not gonna sit here. And it was a very uncomfortable feeling. And the funeral director was really puzzled about, why nobody was sitting down on all the abundant furniture, because it didn't feel welcoming to the living. It felt like it was arranged for the dead because it was a little bit too damn perfect. There were like no blankets. I mean, obviously with COVID now, but this was pre-COVID. Remember those wonderful days when 20 people, 20 complete strangers could have used the same blanket and pillow and everybody would have been fine? Yeah, I miss those days, don't you? And it was too damn organized. It was a little creepy. I think Marie Kondo would love to live in that world where we were all that organized, and it would be too damn creepy. And I had watched her show, and, really, you could use, and I'm saying this as somebody that went through a fuck ton of therapy, you could use a therapist there with you as you go through the emotional items. You legit could. If you have the money, that would actually be what I would suggest, to have a therapist there with you to talk to you, because you're bringing up all this emotional stuff and you're fighting it entirely on your own. And you're sitting there bawling your eyes out. And Marie Kondo would be like, why? Like she really didn't understand how emotional these moments were. And she's like, savor the feelings. I'm like, bitch, not every feeling's a good feeling that comes up. What kind of happy world did you grow up in? And and so, I was like, there are some flaws in her plan. So Loki stopped me. Loki's like, you're going to have a panic attack to the point where I'm going to be calling somebody on the phone. And I usually don't go out of my way to do truly supernatural things. Please don't. And he doesn't. One thing he did bless me with, and how he warned me to stop, is those little hamburger bun beanies. Where do they go? Zoom Zooms? Those FNAF Tsum Tsums he had, I only found 3 of them, and they were those keychain ones. And I felt so bad that I couldn't find Freddie. I couldn't find Freddie. I couldn't find Freddie. And I felt so terrible. And I'm apologizing to him. And I'm practically crying, all day because he's gone. And I said, well, that's my lesson. That's why I paid for, over cleaning. And I'm going to cry. And I'm like, I wish more than anything I had kept that because I'm already starting to regret. I'm like, maybe I went a little too far with this damn thing because there are a couple things I'm like, damn, I should have probably kept that. Well, I turn around, and even though this kitchen is now certainly clean, they're laying on the floor where it was not before, because believe me, I looked for it. I've been looking for it for 2 days, is his little Zoom Zoom. So it was like Loki brought it back, and I'm like, this is kind of ice cold. And he's like, I said, where did this come from? Never you mind. And, I said, okay. And I took the little Zoom Zoom and I put it over there. Well, they're not official Zoom Zooms, but you know what I mean. And, it did a lot of good, but it brought up a lot of trauma, which, I should have had a therapist here for, and a box of chocolates, and some Xanax, and some Valium, and a couple other things. Be back on the Expexor, the really high dose that can knock out racehorses. And, it's when he's trying to stop you. Why did I go to a long, involved story? If he's trying to stop you, there's a reason. If Loki's telling you no, there's a reason. You're either overdoing something, as I tend to do, or it's going to hurt you spiritually, emotionally, physically, monetarily, however. You're cruising for a reason, basically, and you don't see it. I never see it when he's stopping me. In fact, I get pissed off and resentful, and I'm like, I'm just fine. I'm in control. I know what I'm doing. No, I don't. No, I don't. So if he's trying to stop you, listen. Just stop. Just stop whatever it is. And before you know it, give it a week or so, find something else to do. Do not, I would suggest don't try to clean your house. Not 2021. It's too fucking brutal a year to do it. But, find something else to do. Video games, working out, reading, going to the opera. Well, I guess you can't do that anymore, but find something to do until he says, okay, you can go back to doing what you wanted to do. He's protecting you from something. He does protect his people. He is ferocious about protecting us. And even though I love him very deeply, if you keep going, he might teach you a lesson, and you might not like the lesson. I don't want to frighten you, but he will teach his people lessons. It's usually not as aggressive as an Odin lesson, but it's certainly, you will get the bite of the fox on you. So, if you like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.